How's it going again, everyone? I have another Game Pass review thing that I want to talk about. This time, I'm only covering 3 games as opposed to 4. Well, actually, let's say 3.5. Alright? Um, the first game I want to talk about is Dodgeball Academia. This is basically a sports RPG in which the battles take place on a dodgeball court. I like it. It's really funny. It's charming. I like the characters. They're really funny. Um, when it comes to schools and video games, I always find them kind of enjoyable because they don't come around often. Whenever I think of a game taking place in or around school, I think of Bully or Persona. Dodgeball Academia takes place in and around the school campus. Basically, all it is an academy dedicated to uh, dodgeball. Now, the gameplay itself could have been a little bit better. I have a few minor complaints. That there were times when the difficulty spiked a little bit, and I had to kind of lower the difficulty down in the accessibility menu, decrease the damage I take. And also, I don't like how, or maybe I haven't figured it out, you can't switch to your third teammate when in battle. You can only switch to the second teammate, even if that second teammate is knocked out or in defense. I don't quite understand how that control works, but I had trouble switching to the third teammate and, passing the ball along to him so I could use his, they call it Baltimate, I think. Each character has their own, like, ultimate special that builds up over time. Whether you catch balls or land a hit, that Baltimate meter fills up. And it's really useful, right? So every time, like, another teammate is ready, I want to switch to that teammate, and sometimes it just won't let me, and I'm not sure why. I also don't like how your two teammates that are behind you just follow you around, and you can't control them, so they kind of like get hit. They're kind of like in the way. And it's a little on the lazy side. I would have liked them to utilize more AI on them. Have them do their own thing when you're not controlling them, rather than just stand right behind you and get hit while you're dodging it. There is a school nurse who can basically revive and heal all your teammates, and it's kind of like the inn equivalent to a lot of RPGs. You know how when you visit an inn, you can pay to like have all your party like restored to full health and whatnot. That's this, the school nurse. The thing I don't like about this is that they basically let you do it at any time free of charge. You don't have to pay lunch money or beat up money or whatever. You can just do it at any time. You can just backtrack constantly and heal without ever having to worry about not having enough health. I don't think this should be in a game where there's items all around you that you can break open trash cans and chests and whatnot to collect different items and healing items to use to heal yourself. By the way, I do like how certain characters have a favorite food and stuff. So the more they like something, the more health they'll heal from it. I like that a lot. That's really cool. And I utilized that, and I tried my best not to use the nurse in. Like, I tried to really make it feel like an RPG, you know, finding healing items and actually using the healing items as opposed to just visiting the nurse all the time. I would have liked to see more, I don't want to say challenge, but some like restriction on the nurse. Like you could only see them every day or twice a day or something, as opposed to all the time, you know. I also do kind of have a problem. I keep talking about problems. Trust me, I do like this game. There were a few times when I wanted to quit, only because the difficulty sometimes spiked, and I'm like, what the fuck? But there's one more thing, one more little thing, and that's the timing of the balls or catching balls. The timing of catching balls can seem a little off. I feel like the animations for catching the balls is a little too long, and it's kind of hard to like anticipate how fast the ball is going to come to you compared to how slow your catch animation is. There shouldn't even be an animation in my opinion. But yeah, Dodgeball Academia, it's a fun game, It has really fun combat. The story, it kind of drags along a little too much, but I feel like the humor is what kind of makes it worth playing through. So yeah, Dodgeball Academia, I would probably give like an 8 out of 10. Really good game, really fun, but with a few flaws here and there. Now, there's another game called Boyfriend Dungeon. This game is basically half dungeon crawler and half dating simulator. You're on summer vacation from college and your cousin brings you to this like resort town. And basically all you do is date your weapons in human form. And you can level up your weapons by giving them gifts that they like and fighting in the dungeons with those weapons and leveling them up that way. The gameplay itself in the dungeons is a little on the generic side. I still enjoy it though. It's kind of like a watered down version of Diablo with a little bit of roguelike there. There are checkpoints that you can like return to, so it's not really a roguelike. And it's not really hard either, so yeah, it's not a roguelike. It's more like a basic dungeon crawler game with a few different enemy variety types, and it's isometric, so it plays kind of like a Diablo game. That part is actually enjoyable, to me at least. I know a lot of people would probably disagree and say that it's too simplified. Maybe, I think it's just about right. Maybe it wouldn't be if it wasn't for the social interactions that you have between dungeon visits. There's only 2 dungeons in the game. And when you're trying to max out all the different weapons and stuff, it can be a little on the grindy side, but not too much. It only took me like 10 hours to like maximize every weapon and beat the game and do all the side missions and all that stuff. So it's not a long game at all. If you're gonna play Boyfriend Dungeon, you're probably gonna want to like play it to completion. Otherwise, you might only spend a few hours with it and it'll probably feel unsatisfying. The gameplay itself of Dungeon Crawler, it's kind of interesting. The first one takes place in a mall, and the second one takes place in kind of like a nightclub. Those 2 locations are based on your fears. Like they're kind of like manifestations, kind of like something that you would see in a Persona game. The mall is the fear of change, and the nightclub is the fear of intimacy. You see, your character is kind of like an introvert. It can be him or her. It could even be non-binary. You can make your character whoever, and your fear is like basically getting out of your comfort zone. It's kind of like me almost. Very introverted and kind of like isolated a little bit, and your cousin is trying to bring out that change in you. That part is really interesting. The whole concept of the dungeons is interesting, at least to me. Now, the dating aspect of this game is where I feel a mixed bag. You kind of have to go along with all of it. And what I mean by all of it is you have to pretty much date every single weapon, even weapons that you don't trust. Douchebags. All I want to say is I don't recommend playing this game if you're someone who has experienced rape or assault or stalking or cheating. Anyone who has been in a really toxic relationship that affected them in a negative way, I don't think I recommend you play this game because it might bring back some bad memories. The game's nature in that aspect feels kind of manipulating. and very uncomfortable. So it kind of puts me in a rough spot of where I want to place this game in terms of a rating. So for me personally, I'd probably give it a 7, only because I've hardly been in any relationships that fucked me up. So that whole dating thing didn't really affect me, but I could totally see it affecting other people. And I would probably push it down to like maybe a 5 out of 10 for those who don't wish to go through that crap in a video game. Yeah, Boyfriend Dungeon, overall, not as good as Dodgeball Academia, but still pretty fun if you can handle the dating crap. Now, this next game I fucking hated to play. There are things I liked about it, but I just did not like playing it. And that was 12 Minutes. 12 Minutes is a top-down, point-and-click puzzle mystery game where you're trying to figure out why a cop is barging into your apartment after like 6 minutes in the time loop, and figuring out why your wife is getting arrested for murder and why the fuck the cop is even killing you, the husband. And it's really interesting, right? Especially when the main cast is voiced by James McAvoy, Daisy Ridley, and one of the best actors alive, Willem Dafoe. They all bring terrific performances. The story is really interesting and has a few surprising twists near the end. But man, when it comes to playing the game, you want to know what the most important aspect of it is? Whether it's fun or not. Whether the gameplay is enjoyable. Story, music, atmosphere, acting, it's all secondary to gameplay. And my word, oh boy, did it get really repetitive pretty fast. Of just doing the same thing in the same time loop, not even knowing why the fuck you're stuck in a time loop, trying to figure out what the hell is going on, doing the same steps over and over until you do something slightly differently in the end. This is also one of those games where you'll have ideas, right? You'll be like, wait a minute, I have an idea. And then you try to do it, and then the game doesn't let you. It's way too fucking linear and restricted for a game that already takes place in only 3 rooms. Living room, bathroom, and bedroom. Oh, and a tiny closet. Really tiny closet. Like, tiny, tiny, tiny closet. Like Bender's apartment in Futurama. It's tiny. And doing the same freaking thing and saying the same stuff over and over, trying to like convincing your wife that you're stuck in a time loop and that a cop's gonna be at the door in a few minutes, and fucking having to set up dessert and bringing up different conversations that you couldn't have brought up before because you didn't learn about them until the last run. And oh my god, dude, I hate time loop games. I've decided this is the second time loop game in a row that I hated to play. The other one was Outer Wilds, which I know more people like Outer Wilds than they like this, I think. But I still couldn't get into Outer Wilds because it's just every half an hour trying to figure out what I've learned from the last half hour. When half the time I didn't even learn shit. So I fucking hate time loop games. No, 12 minutes? I'm sorry. There are things I like about it. I like the story. I like the characters and the voice actors. And, I do like the concept on paper, but I'm not even sure if it's possible to execute well in a video game. What it all boils down to is you playing the same level over and over, basically. When was the last time you played a good video game where you played the same level over and over and over again? For like 30 times. No, it just doesn't happen. It's repetitive. I will probably never play a time loop game again because that was so painfully, frustratingly monotonous. It was just bullshit, man. The controls suck too, Sometimes I'm trying to like open the fridge and grab a plate when he just like fucking closes the fridge, and trying to look at the vent below the medicine cabinet and him just like canceling out. Oh, my favorite, let's lock the bathroom door. Let's lock ourselves in when we're just trying to get out of the fucking bathroom because the controls are so goddamn sensitive. Oh god, I hate point and click games too, man. I hate them. I fucking hate them. Oh my god, talk about outdated game design. 12 minutes has multiple endings or multiple playouts or whatever, but I just don't want to go back. I just don't want to because it was that much work. It was anything but fun. No. So 12 minutes, I'm going to give 12 minutes a 5 out of 10 because there are some things that I really do like about it, but I don't like playing it. This actually came out back a while. I think it was like either February or March. I just never got around to it till now. Curse of the Dead Gods is a roguelike game that's kind of like Hades, but most likely not as good. It's really fun though, you know. It's just a really, really fun roguelike. I've been enjoying it, and hopefully I'll be able to play more the next time I have Game Pass. My Game Pass just ran out today. I kind of used that leftover time to finish the Ascent. I went through the main menu settings in the Ascent and turned off the film grain and the other filter, and it crashed a lot less than it did before. It used to crash like every 20 to 30 minutes. Now it only crashed like every 2 to 3 hours. I was able to finish the Ascent, and I loved the Ascent. Even with all the bugs and the crashing, I loved playing the Ascent. It was a very, very, very fun. Unlike 12 minutes, it was very fun shooter RPG. So, unfortunately, I didn't have time to get to Hades, which is why I got it on PS4. I got the physical copy too. For an extra $5, because it's 25 digitally, 30 physically, I get the code to the soundtrack, which is great, and a 32-page character art book. So, haven't even opened it yet. I'm really looking forward to playing this. I'm expecting big things. So, yeah, Hades. This will probably be the only thing I play next month. Well, that and maybe Wasteland 3, the second Wasteland 3 DLC. That might be my next video too. I don't even know what it's called. I don't know when it's coming out. It should be soon. Hopefully they don't just like scrap it. I was thinking about doing a Gamescom reaction, but I think I'm gonna pass. I already did, you know, my E3 and State of Play, so unless something big comes from that Gamescom that I'm really excited for and I'll watch the rest of it or whatever, then maybe, but don't expect one. And don't expect a review from Hades, because I only review games that come out in the same year, so. Yeah, until next time, thank you for watching.
The Gamer Gods!